Hello, hello, are we back? I am so sorry, guys. Power just flickered and everything went out. I had to disconnect my computer from the internet and reconnect it. Like, literally, it was just, it went out, lights, everything. It flickered. So, I am so sorry, guys. Did not, that was not on purpose. Um, yeah, yeah, are you, and the ad break's getting ready to start. Oh, I am sorry, guys. So how many of you guys are still here with me? Yeah. Hi, Eric. Um, Power flickered. Everything went out. So, yeah. You want to join back and get your first, second, third or something, sweetie? Okay. So, I'm just gonna. Oh, damn. That. Was not expecting that. Whew. Less than a minute left before the what was it before the ad stops? Holy bejesus. That was a little bit of a flutter. What was that? Holy crap! Dragon King! What's up? Hey, you got one of my one of the last three first badges that I had. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you, thank you. I greatly appreciate that. There are actually two first badges left. Um, but yeah, good to see you. Yeah, power flickered. Eh, that got me a little bit there. Um, whew. Oh, that was a resub. Thank you for the resub. I really appreciate that. Holy crap, it's been 3 months. Thank you. I appreciate that. Dragon King has resubbed for the third month. I appreciate that. That is so. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Um, okay. I'll try to get my heart to calm down a little bit because I have not really had to deal with that. Thank you. But, whew. Yeah, I am. I am working on doing that. Because I did not expect that while I was streaming, the power would just flicker, and it's like, oh crap. And then my phone was just like, you can send one message and one message only. Whew. And I am sorry for those of you that were just sitting here to listen to me, just to sit here and chill out. And it's probably not as chill right now. Um, just trying to, whew. Yeah, that was fun. Woo! Um, okay. Whew. Okay, so to recap a little bit, Dragon King. The current one I'm reading is Robin Hood sent Little John to go get more fabric to make the green suits that he promises everybody at least two a year, and for the time, decent amount of money to become part of his merry men. Well, past 6 months, Little John, after a competition, joined the Sheriff of Nottingham's uh, service and became lazy as hell. So Robin Hood sent him to kind of work off the fat a little bit. Go get the fabric. All you have to do is go get the fabric and bring it back. Here is the money. Go do that. Well, on his way, he's about to pass what's known as the Blue Boar Inn. It's an inn that they talk about in the book, and a bit. They do a lot of shenanigans and shit there, but not stuff to mess with the barkeep and the tavern owner. So the tavern owner really likes them. Um, he's just like, oh, it looks like it's gonna rain. It's a perfectly blue sky day. There's no reason for that. But he's lazy and he's just like, I'm gonna stay there the night and I'm going to drink my fill. I'm going to eat and all that using some of the money Robin Hood gave him. So of course, since they like Robin Hood, the news gets back to Robin Hood, and Robin Hood's like, you know what, this really sucks. I'm going to go and make sure he actually does what I told him to. And Little John gets into a fight with somebody who's going to shoot one of the deer. He's getting into a fight with a tanner. And because he is not as physically fit as he used to, he gets his ass handed to him. But funny enough, before the fighting actually goes down, Robin Hood catches up. Doesn't let him know that he's there. And is like, you know what? I hope he gets his ass beat. I'm just going to sit here and watch. Gets his ass beat. Tanner doesn't know who he actually is. And so Robin Hood comes out of the forest after the tanner pretty much makes him beg mercy. And I was like, yeah, that was pretty good. And Tanner's like, who are you? I'm Robin Hood. And this is Little John. He's like, oh my god, you're Little John? If I had known, I never would have done this. Tries to help him up, and Little John is a sore little bitch right now. So he's just like, I can get up on my own. And Robin Hood's like, hey, you want to join my group? The guy's like, oh, would I? Yes. So now they're on their way. Robin Hood and the Tanner are going to take him past the inns so that way he doesn't deviate from the path again. And that's where we're at right now. So, yeah. Let's hope the. Oh, and it wasn't just our apartment that the power did that to, it was like the entire street. So, yay. Okay. The others saw The others looked and saw a young man walking slowly down the highway, gay as he is indeed, as Robin had said, and a fine figure he cut, for his doublet was of scarlet silk, and his stockings also. A handsome sword hung at his side, the embossed leathern scabbard being picked out a fine with fine threads of gold. His cap was of scarlet velvet, and and a broad feather hung down behind the back of one ear. His hair was long and yellow, and curled upon his shoulders. In his hand he bore an early rose, which he smelt as daintily now and then. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. By my life, quoth Robin Hood, laughing, saw ye e'er such a pretty mincing fellow? Truly, his clothes have overmuch prettiness for my taste, quoth Arthur a Blonde. But, nevertheless, his shoulders are broad and his loins are narrow, and seest thou, good master, how that his arms hang from his body? They dangle not down like spindles, but hang stiff and bend at the elbow. I take my vow, there be no bread and milk limbs in those fine clothes, but stiff joints and tough thews. Methinks thou art right, friend Arthur, said Little John. I do verily think that yon is no such rose leaf and whipped cream gallant as he would have one take him to be. Pah, quoth Robin Hood, the sight of such a fellow doth put a nasty taste into my mouth. Look how he doth hold that fair flower betwixt his thumb and finger, as he would say, Good Rose, I like thee not so ill, but I can bear thy odour for a little while. I take it ye are both wrong, and verily believe that there a furious mouse to run across his path, he would cry La! or Alack a day! and fall straightway into a swoon. I wonder who he may be. Some great baron's son, I doubt not, answered Little John, with with good and true men's money lining his purse. Ay, marry, that is true, I make no doubt, quoth Robin. What a pity that such men as he, that have no thought but to go abroad in gay clothes, should have good fellows, whose shoes are not fit to tie, dancing at their bidding. By St. Dunstan, St. Alfred, St. Withold, and all the good men in the Saxon calendar, it doth make me mad to see such gay lordlings from over the sea go stepping on the necks of good Saxons who owned this land before ever their great grandsires chewed rind of brawn. By the bright bow of heaven, I will have their ill-gotten gains from them, even though I hang for it as high as e'er a forest tree in Sherwood. Why, how now, master, quoth Little John, what heat is this? Thou dost set thy pot a-boiling, and mayhap no bacon to cook. Methinks yon fellow's hair is over light for Norman locks. He may be a good man and true for aught thou knowest. Nay, said Robin, my head against a leaden farthing, he is what I say. Whenever saw ye Saxon mince along like that, as though he feared to muddy the toes of his shoes. At least, I will go forth to stop him, and see whether his purse be free of foul money. If I am wrong, then he may go forward upon his journey without the loss of so much as a groat. But if I am right, I will pluck him as close as ever a goose was plucked live for feathers in midsummer. Thou sayest he is a sturdy fellow, Little John. Lie thou there and watch till I show thee how wood life toughens a man. As easy living, such as thine hath been of late, drags him down. So, lie ye both here, I say, till I show you how I draw this fellow. So saying, Robin Hood stepped forth from the shade of the beech tree, crossed the stile, and stood in the middle of the road, with his hands on his hips, in the stranger's path. Meantime the stranger, who had been walking so slowly that all this talk was held before he came opposite the place where they were, neither quickened his pace, nor seemed to see that such a man as Robin Hood was in the world. So Robin stood in the middle of the road, waiting while the other man walked slowly forward, smelling his rose, and looking this way and that, and everywhere, except at Robin. "Hold!" cried Robin, when at last the other had come close to him. "Hold! Stand where thou art!" "Wherefore should I hold, good fellow?" said the stranger in a soft and gentle voice. "And wherefore should I stand where I am? Ne'ertheless, as thou dost desire that I should stay, I will abide for a short time, that I may hear what thou mayest have to say to me." "Then," quoth Robin, "as thou dost so fairly do as I tell thee, and dost give me such soft speech, I will also treat thee with all due courtesy. I would have thee know, fair friend, that I am, as it were, a votary at the shrine of St. Wilfrid, who, thou mayest know, took, willy nilly, all their gold from the heathen, and melted it into candlesticks. Wherefore, upon such as come hereabouts, I levy a certain toll, which I use for a better purpose, I hope, than to make candlesticks withal. Therefore, sweet chuck, I would have thee deliver to me thy purse, that may I look into it, and judge, to the best of my poorer powers, whether thou hast more wealth about thee than our law allows. For, as our good Gaffer Swathold saith, he who is fat from over-living must needs lose blood." All this time the youth had been sniffing at the rose that he held betwixt his thumb and finger. "Nay," said he with a gentle smile when Robin Hood had done, "I do love to hear thee talk, thou pretty fellow, and if, haply, thou art not yet done, finish, I beseech thee. I have yet some little time to stay." "I have said all," quoth Robin, "and now, if thou wilt give me thy purse, I will let thee go thy way without let or hindrance as soon as I shall see what it may hold. I will take none from thee if thou hast but little." "Alas, it doth grieve me much," said the other. "I cannot do as thou dost wish. I have nothing to give thee. Let me go my way, pray thee. I have done thee no harm." "Nay, thou goest not," quoth Robin, "till thou hast shown me thy purse." "Good friend," said the other gently, "I have business elsewhere. I have given thee much time, and have heard thee patiently. Pray thee, let me depart in peace." "I have spoken to thee, friend," said Robin sternly, "and now tell me again, that thou goest not one step forward till thou hast done as I bid thee." So saying, he raised his quarterstaff above his head in a threatening way. "Alas," said the stranger sadly, "it doth grieve me that this must be. I fear that I fear much that I must slay thee, thou poor fellow." So saying, he drew his sword. "Put by thy weapon," quoth Robin. "I would take no vantage of thee. Thy sword cannot stand against an oaken staff such as mine. I could snap it like a barley straw. Yonder is a good oaken thicket by the roadside. Take thee a cudgel thence, and defend thyself fairly, if thou hast a taste for a sound drubbing." First the stranger measured Robin with his eye, and then he measured the oaken staff. Thou art right, good fellow, said he presently. Truly my sword is no match for that cudgel of thine. Bide thee a while till I get me a staff. So saying, he threw aside the rose that he had been holding all this time, thrust his sword back into the scabbard, and, with a more hasty step than he had yet used, stepped to the roadside and grew the little clump of ground oaks Robin had spoke of. Choosing among them, he presently found a sapling to his liking. He did not cut it, but, rolling up his sleeve a little way, laid hold of it, placed his heel against the ground, and, with one mighty pull, plucked the young tree up by the roots from the very earth. Then he came back, trimming away the roots with tender stems, with his sword as quietly as if he had done naught to speak of. Little John and the tanner had been watching all that passed, but when they saw the stranger drag the sapling up from the earth, and heard the rending and snapping of its roots, the tanner pursed his lips together, drawing his breath between them in a long inward whistle. By the breath of my body, said Little John, as soon as he could gather his wits from their wonder, sawest thou that, Arthur? Marry, I think our poor master will stand but an ill chance with yon fellow. By our Lady, he plucked up yon green tree as if it were a barley straw. Whatever Robin Hood thought, he stood his ground, and now he and the stranger in scarlet stood face to face. When did Robin Hood hold his own, well did Robin Hood hold his own that day, as a mid-country yeoman. This way and that they fought, and back and forth, Robin's skill against the stranger's strength. The dust of the highway rose up around them like a cloud, so that at times Little John and the tanner could see nothing, but only hear the rattle of the staves against one another. Thrice Robin Hood struck the stranger, once upon the arm, and twice upon the ribs, and yet had he warded all the other blows, only one of which, had it met its mark, would have laid stout Robin lower in the dust than he had ever gone before. At last the stranger struck Robin's cudgel so fairly in the middle that he could hardly hold his staff in his hand. Again he struck, and Robin bent beneath the blow. A third time he struck, and now not only fairly beaten down Robin's guard, but he gave him such a rap also, that down he tumbled into the dusty road. "Hold!" cried Robin, when he saw the stranger raising his staff once more. "I yield me." "Hold!" cried Little John, bursting over his cover, with the tanner at his heels. "Hold! Give over, I say." "Nay," cried the stranger quietly. "If there be two more of you, and each as stout as this good fellow, I am like to have all my hands full. Nevertheless, come on. I will strive my best to serve you all." "Stop!" cried Robin Hood. "We will fight no more. I take my vow. This is an ill day for thee and me, Little John. I do verily believe that my wrist, and eke my arm, are palsied by the jar of the blow that the stranger has struck me." Then Little John turned to Robin Hood. "Why, how now, good master?" said he. "Alas, thou art in ill plight. Marry, thy jerkin is all befouled with the dust of the road. Let me help thee arise." "A plague on thy aid!" cried Robin angrily. "I can get to my feet without thy help, good fellow." "Nay, but let me at least dust thy coat for thee. I fear thy poor bones are mightily sore," quoth Little John soberly, but with a sly twinkle in his eye. "Give over, I say," quoth Robin in the fume. "My coat hath been dusted enough already, without aid of thine." Then turning to the stranger, he said, "What may thy name be, good fellow?" "My name is Gramwell," answered the other. "Ha!" cried Robin. "Is it even so? I have near kin of that name. From whence camest thou, fair friend?" "From Maxfield town I come," answered the stranger. "There I was born and bred, and thence I come to seek my mother's young brother, whom men call Robin Hood. So if perchance thou mayest direct me." "Ha! Will Gamel," cried Robin, placing both hands upon the other's shoulders, holding him off at arm's length. Surely it can be none other. I might have known thee by that pretty maiden air of thine, that dainty flickering manner of gait. Dost thou not know me, lad? Look upon me well. Now by the breath of my body, cried the other, I do believe from my heart that thou art mine own uncle Robin. Nay, certain it is so. And each flung his arms around the other, kissing him upon the cheek. Then once more Robin held his kinsman off at arm's length and scanned him keenly from top to toe. "Why, how now?" quoth he. "What change is there? Verily, some 8 or 10 years ago I left thee a stripling lad, with great joints and ill hung limbs, and lo, here thou art, as tight a fellow as e'er I set mine eyes upon. Dost thou not remember, lad, how I showed thee the proper way to nip the goose feather betwixt thy fingers, and throw out thy bow arm steadily? Thou gavest great promise of being a keen archer. And dost thou not mind how I taught thee to fend and parry with the cudgel?" "Yea," said young Gamwell, "and I did so look up to thee, and thought thee so above all other men that, I make my vow, had I known who thou wert, I would never have dared to lift hand against thee this day. I trust I did thee no great harm?" "No, no," quoth Robin hastily, and looking sideways at Little John, "thou didst harm me. But say no more of that, I pray thee. Yet I will say, lad, that I hope I may never feel again such a blow as thou didst give me. By Our Lady, my arm doth tingle yet from finger-nail to elbow. Truly, I thought that I was palsied for life. I tell thee, coz, that thou art the strongest man that ever I laid mine eyes upon. I take my vow. I felt my stomach quake when I beheld thee pluck up yon green tree as thou didst. But tell me, how camest thou to leave Sir Edmund and thy mother?" "Alas," answered young Gamwell, "it is an ill story, uncle, that I have to tell thee. My father's steward, who came to us after old Giles Crookleg died, was ever a saucy varlet, and I know not why my father kept him, saving that he did oversee with great judgment. It used to gall me to hear him speak up so boldly to my father, who, thou knowest, was ever a patient man to those about him, and slow to anger and harsh words. Well, one day, an ill day it was for that saucy fellow, he sought to berate my father, I standing by. I could stand it no longer, good uncle, so, stepping forward, I gave him a box o' the ear, and, wouldst thou believe it, the fellow straightway died. I think they said I broke his neck or something o' the like. So off they packed me to seek thee and escape the law. I was on my way when thou sawest me, and here I am." "Well, by the faith of my heart," quoth Robin, "for every one escaping the law, thou wast taking it the most easily that I ever beheld in all my life. Whenever did anyone in all the world see one who had slain a man, and was escaping because of it, tripping along the highway like a dainty court damsel, sniffing at a rose the while?" "Nay, uncle," answered Will Gamwell, "over haste never churned good butter, as the old saying hath it. Moreover, I do verily believe that this over-strength of my body hath taken the nimblest out of my heels." "Why, thou didst just now rap me thrice, and I thee never a once, save by overbearing thee by my strength." "Nay," quoth Robin, "let us say no more on that score. I am right glad to see thee, Will, and thou wilt add great honour and credit to my band of merry fellows. But thou must change thy name, for warrants will be out presently against thee. So, because of thy gay clothes, thou shalt henceforth and for aye be called Will Scarlet." "Will Scarlet," quoted Little John, stepping forward and reaching out his great palm, which the other took. "Will Scarlet, the name fitteth thee well. Right glad am I to welcome thee amongst us. I am Little John, and this is a new member who has joined us, a stout tanner named Arthur a Bland. Thou art like to achieve fame, Will, let me tell thee, For there will be many a merry ballad sung about the country, and many a merry story told in Sherwood of how Robin Hood taught Little John and Arthur a Bland the proper way to use the quarterstaff. Likewise, as it were, how our good master bit off so large a piece of cake that he choked on it. Nay, good Little John, quoth Robin, gently, for he liked ill to have such a jest told of him. Why should we seek of this little matter? Prithee, let us keep this day's doings amongst ourselves. With all my heart, quoth Little John, but, good master, I thought that thou didst love a merry story, because thou hast so often made jest about a certain increase of fatness on my joints, of flesh gathering at my abiding with the sheriff of— Nay, good Little John, said Robert hastily, I do think me I have said full enough on that score. It is well, quoth Little John, for in truth I myself have tired of it somewhat, but now I bethink me, thou didst also seem minded to make a jest of the rain that threatened last night, so— Nay then, said Robin Hood testily, I was mistaken. I remember me now it did seem to threaten rain. Truly, I did think so myself, quoth Little John. Therefore, no doubt, thou dost think it wise of me to abide all night at the Blue Boar Inn, instead of venturing forth in such stormy weather. Dost thou not? A plague of thee and thy doings, cried Robin Hood. If thou wilt have it so, thou wert right to abide whatever thou didst choose. Once more, it is well, quoth Little John. As for myself, I have been blind this day. I did not see thee drubbed. I did not see thee tumbled heels over head in the dust, and if any man says that thou wert, I can with a clear conscience rattle his lying tongue betwixt his teeth. Come, cried Robin, biting his nether lip, while the others could not forbear laughing, we will go no farther to-day, but will return to Sherwood, and thou wilt go to Ancaster another time, Little John. So said Robin, for now that his bones were sore, he felt as though a long journey would be an ill thing for him. So, turning their backs, they retraced their steps whence they came. When the four yeomen had travelled for a long time towards Sherwood again, high noontide began to pass. They began to wax hungry. Quoth Robin Hood, I would that I had something to eat. Methinks a good loaf of white bread, with a piece of snow-white cheese, washed down with a draught of humming ale, were a feast for a king. Since thou speakest of it, said Will Scarlet, methinks it would not be amiss myself. There is that within me a crieth out, Victuals, good friend, victuals. I know a house near by, said Arthur a Bland, and, had I but the money, I would bring ye that ye speak of, to wit, a sweet loaf of bread, a fair cheese, and a skin of brown ale. For that matter of that, thou knowest I have money by me, good master, quoth Little John. Why, so thou hast, Little John, said Robin. How much money will it take, good Arthur, to buy us meat and drink? I think about 6 broad pennies will buy food enow for a dozen men, said the tanner. Then give him 6 pennies, Little John, quoth Robin, for methinks food for 3 men will be fit for my need. Now get thee gone, Arthur, with the money, and bring the food here, for there is a sweet shade in that thicket yonder, beside the road, and there we will eat our meal. So Little John gave Arthur the money, and the others stepped to the thicket there to await the return of the tanner. After a time he came back, bearing with him a great brown loaf of bread, and a fair round cheese, and a goatskin stout, full of stout March beer, slung over his shoulder. Then Will Scarlet took his sword, and divided the loaf and the cheese into 4 fair portions, and each man helped himself. Then Robin Hood took a deep pull of the beer. Aha, said he, drawing in his breath, never have I tasted sweeter drink than this. After this no man spake more, but each munched away at his bread and cheese lustily, and ever and anon a pull at the beer. At last Will Scarlet looked at a small piece of bread he still held in his hand, and quoth he, Methinks I will give this to the sparrows. So, throwing it from him, he brushed the crumbs from his jerkin. I too, quoth Robin, have had enough, I think. As for Little John and the tanner, they had by this time eaten every crumb from their bread and cheese. Now, sweet friends, quoth Robin, gathering up the skin of beer, that was not yet nearly empty, I do wish that ye may ever have such happiness as a good stout meal like this bringeth to my heart. Thus pledging you all, I drink to your health, that it may ever remain such as it is this day. So saying, he took a long, hearty pull at the stout beer. Next, Will Scarlet took the skin, then Little John, and, last of all, the stout tanner. A good full skin of beer, as fat as a town tradesman, began the round. A poor flabby hide came forth, as weak and limp as an aged man. Now, quoth Robin, I do feel myself another man, and would fain enjoy something pleasant before going farther upon our journey. I do bethink me, Will, that thou didst use to have a pretty voice, and one that tuned sweetly upon a song. Prithee, give us one ere we journey farther. Truly, I do not mind turning a tune, answered Will Scarlet, but I would not sing alone. Nay, others will follow. Strike up, lad, quoth Robert. Crope, quoth Robin. In that case, 'tis well, said Will Scarlet. I do call to mind a song that a certain minstrel used to sing in my father's hall on occasion. I know no name for it, and so can give you none. But thus it is. Then clearing his throat, he sings as follow. In the merry blossom time, when love longings flood the breast, when the flower is on the lime, when the small fowl builds her nest, sweetly sings the nightingale, and the throstle cock so behold, cuckoo in the dewy dale, and the turtle in the wild. But the robin I love dear, for he singeth through the year. Robin, Robin, merry Robin, so I'd have my true love be. Not to fly at the nigh sign of cold adversity. When the springs begin sweet delights, when the springs when the spring brings sweet delights, when aloft the lark doth rise, lovers woo, O mellow nights, and youths peep in maidens' eyes, that time blooms and eglantine, daisies pied upon the hill, cowslips fair and columbine, dusky violets by the rill, but the ivy green doth grow, when the north wind bringeth snow. Ivy, ivy, staunch and true, thus I'd have her love to be, not to die at the nigh breath of cold adversity. "'Tis well sung," quoth Robin, "but, cousin, I thee I tell thee plain, I would rather hear a stout fellow like thee sing some lusty ballad, than a finniging song of flowers and birds, and what not. Yet thou didst sing it fair, and 'tis none so bad a snatch of a song, for the matter of that. Now, Tanner, it is thy turn next." "I know not," quoth Arthur, smiling, with his head to one side, like a budding lass that was asked to dance. "I know not that I can match our sweet friend's song. Moreover, I do verily think that I have caught a cold, and have certain tickling and huskiness in the windpipe." "Nay, sing up, friend," quoth Little John, who sat next to him, patting him on the shoulder. "Thou hast a fair, round, mellow voice. Let us have a touch of it." "Nay, an ye will hae a poor thing," said Arthur, "I will do my best. Have ye heard of the wooing of Sir Keith, the stout young Cornish knight, in good King Arthur's time?" "Methinks I have heard somewhat of it," said Robin, "but ne'ertheless, strike up thy ditty and let us hear it, for, as I do remember me, it is a gallant song, so out with it, good fellow." Thereupon, clearing his throat, the tanner, without more ado, began to sing the ballad of the wooing of Sir Keith. King Arthur sat in his royal hall, and about on either hand, as many a noble lordling tall, the greatest in the land. Sir Launcelot with raven locks, Gawain with golden hair, Sir Tristram, Kay who kept the locks, and many another there. And though the stained windows bright, from o'er the red-tailed eaves, the sunlight blazed with colored light on golden helms and greaves, but suddenly a silence came around the table round, about the table round, for up the hall there walked a dame, bent nigh unto the ground. Her nose was hooked, her eyes were bleared, her locks were lank and white, upon her chin there grew a beard. She was a gruesome sight. And so the calling step she came, and kneeled at Arthur's feet, and quoth Kay, she's the foulest dame that e'er my sight did see. O mighty king, of thee O mighty king, of thee I crave a boon on bended knee. 'Twas thus she spoke. What wouldst thou have? Quoth King Arthur, of me. Quoth she, I have a foul disease, doth gnaw my very heart, and but one thing can bring me ease, or cure my bitter smart. There is no rest, no ease for me, north, east, or west, or south, till Christian knight will willingly thrice kiss me on the mouth. Nor wedded may this child have been that giveth me ease to me, nor may he be constrained, I ween, but kiss me willingly. And so is there here one Christian knight of such a noble strain, that he will give a tortured wight sweet ease of mortal pain. A wedded man, quoth Arthur King, a wedded man I be, else would I deem it noble thing to kiss thee willingly. Now, Launcelot, in all men's sight, thou art the head and chief of chivalry, come, noble knight, and give her quick relief. But Launcelot he turned aside, and looked upon the ground, and for it did sting his haughty pride to hear them laugh around. Come thou, Sir Tristram, quoth the king. Quoth he, it cannot be, for ne'er can I my stomach bring to do it willingly. Wilt thou, Sir Kay, thou scornful wight? Quoth Kay, nay, by my troth, what noble dame would kiss a knight that kissed so foul a mouth? Wilt thou, Gawain? I cannot, king. Sir Geraint, nay, not I. My kisses no relief would bring, for sooner would I die than up and spank the youngest man of all about the board. Now such relief as Christian can, I'll give to her, my lord. It was Sir Keith, a youthful knight, yet strong of limb and bold, with beard upon his chin as light as finest threads of gold. Quoth Kay, he hath no mistress yet, that he may call his own, but here is one that's quick to get, as she herself has shown. He kissed her once, he kissed her twice, he kissed her 3 times o'er. A wondrous change came in a thrice, that she was foul no more. Her cheeks grew red as any rose, her brow as white as lawn, her bosom like the winter snows, her eyes like those of fawn. Her breath grew sweet as summer breeze that blows a meadows o'er. Her voice grew soft as rustling trees, and cracked and harsh no more. Her hair grew glittering like the gold, her hands as white as milk. Her filthy rags, so foul and old, were changed to robes of silk. In great amaze the knights did stare. Quoth Kay, I make my vow, if it will please thee, fair lady, I'll gladly kiss thee now. But young Sir Keith kneeled on one knee, and kissed her robes so fair. O let me be thy slave, he said, for none to thee compare. She bent her down, she kissed his brow, she kissed his lips and eyes. Quoth thee, thou art my master now, my lord, my love, arise. And all the wealth that is mine own, my lands I give to thee, for never knight hath lady shown such noble courtesy. Bewitched was I, in bitter pain, but thou hast set me free, so now I am myself again, I give myself to thee. Yea, truly, quoth Robin Hood, when the tanner had made end of singing. It is as I remember it, a fair ditty, and a ballad with a pleasing tune of song. It hath oftentimes seemed to me, said Will Scarlet, that it hath a certain motive in it, e'en such as this, that a duty which seemeth to us sometimes ugly and harsh, when we do kiss it fairly upon the mouth, so to speak, is no such foul thing after all. Methinks thou art right, quoth Robin, and, contrariwise, that we When we kiss a pleasure that appeareth gay, it turneth foul to us. Is it not so, Little John? Truly such a thing hath brought thee sore lumps this day. Nay, man, never look down in the mouth. Clear thy pipes, and sing us a ditty. Nay, said Little John, I have none as fair as that merry Arthur has trolled. They are all poor things that I know. Moreover, my voice is not in tune to-day, and I would not spoil even a tolerable song with my ill singing. Upon this, all pressed Little John to sing, so that when he had denied them at proper length of time, such as is seemingly in one that is asked to sing, he presently yielded. Quoth he, Well, an ye will ha' it so, I will give you what I can. Like to fair Will, I have no title to my ditty, but it runs thus. Then clearing his voice, he sang, O lady mine, the spring is here, with a hey nonny nonny, the sweet love season of the year, with a ninny ninny nonny. Now lad and lass lie in the grass that groweth green, with flowers between. The buck doth rest, the leaves do start, the cock doth crow, the breeze doth blow, and all things laugh in. Who may yon fellow be coming along the road? Said Robin, breaking into the song. I know not, quoth Little John, in a surly voice, but this I do know, that it is ill thing to do to check the flow of a good song. Nay, Little John, said Robin, do not be vexed, I pray thee, but I have been watching him coming along, bent beneath the great bag over his shoulder, ever since thou didst begin thy song. Look, Little John, I pray, and see if thou knowest him. Little John looked whither Robin Hood pointed. Truly, quoth he, after a time, I think yon fellow is a certain young miller I have seen now and then along the edge of Sherwood, a poor wight, methinks, to spoil a good song about. Now thou speakest of him, quoth Robin Hood, methinks I myself have seen him now and then. Hath he not a mill over beyond Nottingham town, nigh to the Salisbury road? Thou art right, this is the man, said Little John. A good stout fellow, quoth Robin. I saw him crack Ned O'Bradford's crown about a fortnight since, and never saw I hair lifted more neatly in all my life before. By this time the young miller had come so near that they could see him clearly. His clothes were dusted with flour, and over his back he carried a great sack of meal, bending so as to bring the whole weight upon his shoulders, and across the sack was a thick quarterstaff. His limbs were stout and strong, and he strode along the dusty road right sturdily, with a heavy sack across his shoulders. His cheeks were ruddy as a winter hip, his hair was flaxen in color, and on his chin was a downy growth of flaxen beard. A good honest fellow, quoth Robin Hood, and such a one as is credit to English yeomanry. Now let us have a merry jest with him. We will forth as though we were common thieves, and pretend to rob him of his honest gains. Then we will take him into the forest and give him a feast such as his stomach never held in all his life before. We will flood his throat with good canary, and send him home with crowns in his purse for every penny he hath. What say ye, lads? Truly, it is a merry thought, said Will Scarlet. It is well planned, quoth Little John, but all the saints preserve us from any more drubbings this day. Marry, my poor bones ache that I. Pray thee, peace, Little John, quoth Robin. Thy foolish tongue will get us both well laughed at yet. My foolish tongue, forsooth, growled Little John to Arthur a Blonde. I would it could keep our master from getting us into another coil this day. But now the miller, plodding along the road, had come opposite to where the yeomen lay hidden, whereupon all four of them ran out at him and surrounded him. Hold, friend, cried Robin to the miller, whereupon he turned slowly, with the weight of the bag upon his shoulder, and looked at each in turn all bewildered. For though a good stout man, his wits did not skip like roasting chestnuts. Who bids me stay? Said the miller, in a deep voice and gruff, like the growl of a great dog. Eh, Misquits, I see you there. Marry do I, quoth Robin, and, let me tell thee, friend, thou hast best mind my bidding. And who art thou, good friend? said the miller, throwing a great sack of meal from his shoulder to the ground. And who are those with thee? We be four good Christian men, quoth Robin, and would fain help thee carry part of thy heavy load for thee. I give you all my thanks, said the miller, but my bag is none the heavy that I could not carry it e'en myself. Nay, thou dost mistake, quoth Robin. I meant that thou mightest perhaps have some heavy farthings or pence about thee, not to speak of silver and gold. Our good Gaffer Swathold saith that gold is an over-heavy burden for a two-legged ass to carry. So we would e'en lift some of the load for thee. Alas, cried the miller, what would ye do to me? I have not so much about me as a clipped groat. Do me no harm, I pray you, but let me depart in peace. Moreover, I'll tell you that ye are upon Robin Hood's grounds, and should he find you sneaking to rob an honest craftsman, he will clip your ears to your heads, and scourge you even the walls of Nottingham. In truth, I fear Robin Hood no more than I do myself, quoth jolly Robin. Thou must this day give up to me every penny thou hast about thee. Nay, if thou dost budge an inch, I will rattle this staff about thine ears. Nay, smite me not, cried the miller, throwing up his elbow as though he feared the blow. Thou mayest search me if thou wilt, but thou wilt find none upon me, pouch, pocket, or skin. Is that so? quoth Robin Hood, looking keenly upon him. Now I believe that thou tellest is no true tale. If I am not much mistook, thou hast somewhat in the bottom of that fat sack of meal. Good Arthur, empty the bag upon the ground. I'll warrant thou wilt find a shilling or two on the flour. Alas, cried the miller, falling upon his knees, spoil not all my good meal. It can better you not, and will ruin me. Spare it. I will give up the money at the bottom of the bag. Ha! quoth Robin, nudging Will Scarlet. Is that so? And have I found where the money lies? Marry, I have a wondrous nose for the blessing image of good King Harry. I thought that I smelt gold and silver beneath the barley meal. Bring it straight forth, miller. Then slowly the miller rose to his feet, and slowly and unwillingly he untied the mouth of the bag, and slowly thrust his hands into the mill, and began fumbling about with his arms buried to the elbows in the barley flour. The others gathered round, their heads together, looking and wondering what he would bring forth. So they stood, all with their heads close together, gazing down into the sack. But while he was pretending to be searching for the money, the miller gathered two great handfuls of meal. Ha! quoth he, here they are, the beauties. Then, as the others leaned still more forward to see what he had, he suddenly cast the meal into their faces, filling their eyes and noses and mouths with the flour, blinding and half choking them. Arthur Blond was worse off than any, for his mouth was open, agape with wonder of what was to come, so that a great cloud of flour flew down his throat, setting him a-coughing till he could scarcely stand. Then, while all four stumbled about, roaring with the smart of the meal in their eyeballs, and while they rubbed their eyes till the tears made great channels on their faces through the meal, the miller seized another handful of flour, and another, throwing it in their faces, so that even had they been had a glimmering of light before they were now as blind as a beggar in Nottinghamshire, while their hair and beards and clothes were as white as snow. Then catching up his great crab-staff, the miller began laying about him as though he were clean gone mad. This way and that skipped the flour, like peas on a drumhead, but they could neither see to defend themselves nor to run away. Thwack, thwack went the miller's cudgel across their backs, and at every blow great white clouds of flour rose in the air from their jackets and went drifting down the breeze. Stop, roared Robin at last. Give over, good friend. I am Robin Hood. Thou liest, thou knave, cried the miller, giving him a rap on the ribs that sent a great cloud of flour like a puff of smoke. Stout Robin never robbed an honest tradesman. Ha! Thou wouldst have my money, wouldst thou? And he gave another blow. Nay, thou art not getting thy share, thou long-legged knave. Share and share alike. And he smote Little John across the shoulders, so that he sent him skipping half across the road. Nay, fear not. It is thy turn now, Blackbeard. And he gave Tanner a crack that made him roar for all his coughing. How now, Redcoat? Let me brush the dust from thee, cried he, smiting Will Scarlet. And so he gave them merry words and blows until they could scarcely stand, and whenever he saw one like to clear his eyes, he threw more flour in his face. At last Robin Hood found his horn, and clapped it to his lips, and blew 3 loud blasts upon it. Now it chanced that Will Stuteley and a part of Robin's men were in the glade not far from where this merry sport was going forward. Hearing the hubbub of voices, and blows that sounded like the noise of a flail in the barn in winter time, they stopped, listening, and wondering what was toward. Quoth Will Stuteley, Now if I mistake not there is some stout battle, with cudgels going forward, not far hence. I would fain see this pretty sight. So saying, he and the whole party turned their steps whence the noise came. When they had come near where all the tumult sounded, they heard 3 blasts of Robin's bugle horn. Quick! cried young David Doncaster, our master is in sore need. So, without stopping a moment, they dashed forward with might and main, and burst forth from the covert into the high road. But what a sight was which they saw! The road was all white with meal, and 5 men stood there also white with meal, from top to toe, for much of the barley flour had fallen back upon the miller. What is thy need, master? cried Will Stuteley, and what doth all this mean? Why, quoth Robin, in a mighty passion, yon traitor fellow hath come as nigh slaying me as e'er a man in all the world. Hadst thou not come quickly, good Stuteley, thy master had been dead. Hereupon, whilst he and the other 3 rubbed the meal from their eyes, and Will Stuteley and his men brushed their clothes clean, he told them all how he had meant to pass a jest upon the miller, which same had turned so grievously upon them. Quick, men, seize the vile miller, cried Stuteley, who was nigh choking with laughter, as were the rest, whereupon several ran upon the stout fellow, seizing him, bound his arms behind his back with bowstrings. Ha! cried Robin, when they brought the trembling miller to him. Thou wouldst murder me, wouldst thou? By my faith! Here he stopped and stood glaring upon the miller with a grim look. But Robin's anger could not hold, so first his eyes twinkled, and then in spite of all he broke into laugh. Now when they saw their master laugh, the yeomen who stood around could contain themselves no longer, and a mighty shout of laughter went up from all. Many could not stand, but rolled upon the ground from pure merriment. What is thy name, good fellow? said Robin at last to the miller, who stood gaping, and as though he were in a maze. Alas, sir, I am Midge, the miller's son, said he in a frightened voice. I make my vow, quoth merry Robin, smiting him upon the shoulder, thou art the mightiest Midge that e'er mine eyes beheld. Now wilt thou leave thy dusty mill and come and join my band? Hey, go turn that off. By my faith, thou art too stout a man to spend thy days betwixt the hopper and the till. Then truly, if thou dost forgive me for the blows I struck, not knowing who thou wast, I will join with thee right merrily, said the miller. Then I have gained this day, said Robin, the 3 stoutest yeomen in all of Nottinghamshire. We will get us away to the greenwood tree, and there hold a mighty feast in honour of our new friends, and mayhap a cup or 2 of good sack and canary may mellow the soreness of my poor joints and bones, though I was warrant it'll be a many a day before I am again the man I was. So saying, he turned and led the way, the rest following, and so they entered the forest once more and were lost to sight. So that night all was ablaze with crackling fires in the woodlands, for though Robin and those others spoke of, only excepting Midge, the miller's son, had many a sore bump and bruise here and there on their bodies. They were still not so sore in the joints that they could not enjoy a jolly feast given all in welcome of the new members of the band. Thus with songs and jesting and laughter that echoed through the deeper and more silent nooks of the forest, the night passed quickly along, as such merry times are wont to do, until at last each man sought his couch, and silence fell on all things, and all things seemed to sleep. Thus came about 3 merry adventures in one day, the one stepping upon the heels of another. But Little John's tongue was ever one that was not easy of guidance, so that, inch by inch, the whole story of his fight with the tanner and Robin's fight with Will Scarlet leaked out. And so I have told that you may laugh at the merry tale along with me. Now happenings so come upon us in the world that the serious things of the world become so mixed up with the merry things that our life is all a jumble of black and white, as it were, like the boards of a checkered black and white upon which country folk play draughts at the inn beside the flaming fire of winter's night. So things fell out with Robin Hood for this day of merry sport, through which we have just trudged and buffeted with him and certain other mad wags, was speedily followed by one in which, through merriment was a-doing, more weighty matters were undertaken. So listen to what follows. So that I'm actually going to end that there. My second, part fourth. Hello. Okay. Ad break in progress. Gee, thanks. Excuse me. All right. If Dragon King, if you're still here, I think you are. So Dragon King, I think Az has one. How are you guys doing? How's everything going? I need to get my text color changed. Yeah, thank you all for staying here with me. Oh, Az, you're streaming. I see that. You're lurking in my channel. Haha. Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense, because in Discord you're in your own channel. Hi.
Uh, you joined right as I entered a boss fight.
Well, oops.
It's fine. It's only the cutscene.
So, I joined because I've got an ad in progress, an ad break, and after that, I'm gonna raid you.
Oh,
You're in a boss fight. What you gonna do? You can't stop me. What you gonna do? Pause? I don't think
yes.
you can you?
I can pause during the cutscene. I can pause before the boss fight even actually starts. I did not expect the finance man to turn into a wolf. He's a wolf now.
So yeah, this raid's happening.
Uh,
You don't have a choice. I
thank
already
you
did
for
it.
the raid.
I was about to say,
Yeah, I can see that.
I was about to say, I need to raid you before this happens. So yeah.
Thank you for the raid. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Asmodeus C. I I'm a TV who has a human soul, or whatever. This is a really bad time. I'm about to start a boss fight. If you all need to raid and fade, you can do that.
So your name is pronounced
Uh,
as Modius. I kept calling you Asmodeus. I am so
that's fine.
sorry.
It's fine. It can really go either way, really. It just depends on the person. I